So we've heard about the brain, we've heard about how we can use strategies and some tools, and I'm going to even demonstrate one of the tools that Jared had talked about. So, boosting our productivity level is what this morning is really about. So I kind of want to talk a little bit further about that. So have you ever thought of where my time goes? Even as a productivity expert, yes, my desk gets messy, yes, I don't have enough time at times. So, but we, as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, and especially solopreneurs, we have a lot of things going on. We have to do the bookkeeping, we have to do the marketing, we have to do the sales, we have to, if we have employees, we have to do the interviews, we have to do the taxes. And this list can go on and on. I didn't have room to put them all up there. So with all of that going on and all those hats that we're wearing, how do we get it all done? How do we really utilize our time? So how many have heard of the 80-20 rule? Right, the majority of us. So Pareto, isn't he handsome? Born in 1906, he's an Italian economist who developed the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule is basically 20% of our effort produces 80% of our results. So think about our clients. So 20% of our customers produce 80% of our revenue. 20% of our employees produce 80% of the work. 20% of society uses 80% of our health services. And the list goes on and on. And for us women, 80% of the clothes in our closet, we wear 80% of the time. So it's around us in many, many, many different forms. So let's look at that against time. So when we're looking about time, we're looking about how is that 20% of what we do. I think looking at that is just so visual to realize that just 20% of our time is producing so much of what our results really are. So the question is that 20% really is 16 times more effective than all the other 80% of the stuff that we're doing. So we really have to learn to fine-tune that. So if 20% of your activities produce 80% of your revenue, then your top 20% of your activities are 16 times more effective. So what is my 20%? Anybody kind of thinking that? What is that 20%? What do I do all day? Where is that 20% that's really producing for me? So in your workbook, on page 9, there's basically a time study. Has anybody ever done a time study? And I know a couple of my clients are in here, so I know they have. And if you have not done one, especially as a business owner, it's probably one of the most productivity things that you can do to really look at your time. Now, I will agree with you that it takes time, and we don't have any more time. How can I put any more on my plate? But the time you would devote to really looking at where your time's going, understanding that, and really being able to dissect our time is well worth all the time it takes. So I really would recommend to do it for a week if you possibly can, to really get a good picture of where your time is going. And it's really amazing when you take the time to do this, to really see where you're at. So just say our weekly activities, say there's 50 of them in a week that we do. 20% of that is only 10. So that means 10 of those activities are really producing 80% of your outcome. So if our goal is to maybe work more with clients, to be selling, and to bring in revenue, we really want to hone in on what those activities are so that we can start doing more of those 10. So just by increasing that 10 and doing a little bit more, doing those 10 things double the amount of time that we normally do, can you imagine what that could be as far as productivity, increase in sales, increase in revenue? So then the question comes is, okay, who does the rest? Where we need to really look at, I know that everybody's talked this morning about strengths. We need to really understand where our strengths lie, where we need to be putting that effort. Because when we use our strengths and our natural strengths, our natural talents, and our natural productivity style, we can get more done in less time, with less frustration, and with ease. So it's really about, okay, who do we get to do the rest? So also in your workbook, there is a sheet that would allow you to kind of mark down, what are those things that maybe I'm not that great at? What are those things that maybe I don't like doing? And then also the reverse of that, checking the things that you are strong at and that you enjoy doing. Because if we do more of what we're good at and more of what we enjoy, life is so much easier. So then we can take this list. So this is a great list for you to kind of dissect, who can I start outsourcing this to? Like Judy talked about earlier, about finding somebody else that has those strengths that we don't. So it might be a virtual assistant that you can just start out real slowly and start delegating some stuff to. Maybe it's hiring an assistant. Maybe it's bartering or finding another coworker, another cohort, another business owner whose strength is one of your weaknesses. And share those skills. But there are a lot of different ways that you can start outsourcing and start off-sending and really realizing what are those most critical things that I need to be working on. And letting go of some of the things that really aren't that important. I was talking to a group earlier this week and I said, we can make anything important. My nails, I can say that's really important to go get my nails done. But so anything we can convince ourselves is important, but really what are those critical things that we need to do to keep moving our business forward? And that they're usually around our customer satisfaction, increasing revenue, right? Those are the things that we really want to base it on. So really, what are those critical things we need to work on? So now I want to take you through one of the tools that Jared talked about. And I'm going to actually do a demonstration so that you can see it, because it's great with the information that he gave us, and there's a couple tools that I wasn't aware of that I'm definitely going to look into. But one of the tools I definitely want to show you is Evernote, just a little bit more, so you can actually see what you can do. So let me go back. So have you ever felt like you've lost your notes? And we talked about that earlier this morning. Well, today you have a place to keep your notes and move on. But a lot of times we have notes that we've written on many pieces of paper, and where are they? Where have they gone? And it takes time to find them. And the thing about losing things is if we can't find it when we need it, it has no value. It's lost all the value. So it's really important to be able to find them. So not having your notes, you lose time, money, and it gets very frustrating. So what if you had all your notes on any device, as Jared had told you earlier? Evernote is one of those things that you can use. So how does it work? You can take notes, you can capture articles, and that's what I use it for a lot, blogs, capture pictures, tasks, and to-dos. You can do voice memos. So why would I really want to use Evernote versus something else maybe? It allows you to find your notes. You can all in one place. I can be anywhere. I could get on someone's computer today and be able, and I'm going to show you my notes in a minute. No matter where you are, there's no hardware or software that you have to buy or purchase because it's all free. Okay, so basically, this is what my Evernote looks like. You're actually looking at mine. And basically, you'll see that over here on the left-hand side, there's personal notes and there's tags. So the personal notes, you can divide all your notes into little different groups of category type things. So I have one for coaching, so when I find articles on coaching or articles that would work for my coaching clients, I'll save them in there. For me, writing articles and being able to bring in new information to my clients is so important. So for me to find something on the web and be able to capture it, it makes a huge difference. There's one here for, things for QuickBooks, for recipes. What I really like about this is I also have an iPad. You can also use your computer if you have the technology, but it will allow you to record. So you could have been recording this morning what's going on and also taking notes. So let me go into workshops here. So here is a workshop that I took probably a year ago, but basically I have all the notes. I didn't take much notes because I was recording it and I was doing other things, and that's the main reason why I recorded it. But it allows you to even take notes, record what's going on, so that it makes it a lot easier, because sometimes we write our notes and then we don't remember what does that really mean. So you have the voice, you'll have the voice behind it. So if say I'm reading an article, okay, and this is how I started with Evernote. This is what made it for me, is just this one little tick. It's got a web clipper. So if I come up with an article, here's 7 things highly productive people do. And then up in this right-hand corner, you'll see there's the little elephant. And if I say clip to Evernote, okay, you'll see that it put basically a box around that whole article. And then all I have to do is say, which group do I want to put it in? So I'm going to put it in productivity. And then I can add tags to this. So one of my tags might be procrastination. It might be productivity. It might be, I'm going to do a program on it. So then when I go to search, it's so much easier for me to find that information. I mean, there's so many times I thought, oh, I want to go back to that article, so I'll save the web page, and then the article's not there any longer, or whatever. So it's really been, for me, that's what I use it for the most, so you'll basically see. Another way of using it is, so I'm going to create a note. So I can give it a note title here. And then maybe I want to make a to-do list. So, I have my program ready, maybe. So, can't even spell. And then this little box up here just puts a little note, and then I can, And then later, I can come back and I can check these items off if they're done or not done. So it allows you, yes?
Is there a way to, these things that you guys bring up are excellent tools, but is there some kind of tutorials or something that shows you how to use these?
Yes, there are. He asked if there was some kind of tutorials for these. Inside this program, there are tutorials that it will show you. Also, there are wonderful things out there on YouTube. So if you just Google tutorials you're going to find on most any of the, especially these technologies. Now, for me, it's a whole thing. Do we go technology? Do we keep things manual? And that's really, don't ever feel you have to take on all the technology, because sometimes for people that's a struggle, but there are some technology things that can be very, very helpful. So it's really a personal thing, but yes, there's definitely ways to be able to do that. Trying to think if there's a place also to, and I don't think we can see it here, but there's a place to hit the audio, so I could have been recording what I was just speaking here now, or if somebody else was. So I really kind of wanted to take it so you could see one of those programs and be able to look at it and see it a little bit more in depth. That it is worth the time to be able to really, if you feel like one of the programs that Jared had talked about earlier, taking it and really looking at it. And my really recommendation when people are trying to start new things, take something away from today and don't try to implement everything. Don't try and do 3 or 4 of those technologies at one time. Take one, work on it, make it work for you before you go to the next. So that brings me up to what is next, okay? We've given you a lot of information this morning. We've kind of, just, filled you up with information this morning. You're going to get some more information this afternoon. So it really is what next, and that's what E4E is all about, and that's what makes us a little bit different. E4E doesn't want to just give you a program, doesn't want to just give you information. They want you to help you implement it and take it to the next level. So it's about really doing something more than just what you're doing here today. So if it's attending a webinar, if it's attending an event, whatever that is, we are going to continue, and you'll find things on our website that they'll show later on, that you can just continue that education and build on what you've learned this morning. So one of those ways that you can do that and take some action is that 3 of our partners, Stephen, Judy, you've already heard this morning, and myself, have put together a program called Systems to Accelerate Your Productivity. And there is a flyer on your table. This is going to be a free program, complimentary program that we're going to do on Tuesday, November 27th. So if you're interested and want to be a part of that, just take the time during break and fill that out, leave it on your table, we'll collect it later. Yes? That hasn't been decided yet. It's not determined yet. So, but if you'll give us your information, we'll definitely keep in touch and let you know all the specifics. I think we've got it scheduled for 9 to 10 in the morning, so it will be a morning event. We seem to do a little bit better. So I want to thank you for spending your time with us this morning, and I'll turn it over to Bill.